I first saw Captain Ryan Hale without his armor in the sterile white light of the orbital infirmary above Orion Gate. Until that moment, he had only ever been a silhouette of reinforced plating and disciplined posture, an efficient shadow assigned to guard me. Humans, I had been taught, were structurally unremarkable. Bilateral symmetry, moderate physical resilience, elevated aggression markers. I had studied their physiology in holographic lectures beneath crystal domes. None of it prepared me for the reality of him. Steam curled through the medical bay as he stepped out of the decontamination field, bare skin exposed to the cold air. And I, Princess Aralyn of the Lythari Dominion, daughter of an unbroken genetic line, took an involuntary step back. His body was not merely scarred. It was rewritten. Thick ridges of burned flesh crossed his torso like tectonic fractures. Pale surgical seams bisected muscle with brutal precision. A jagged scar ran along his ribs, as if something had tried to open him and failed. His left shoulder bore smooth, melted skin that caught the light wrong. Too tight in some places, too thin in others. He did not look broken. He looked survived, and that frightened me more. Among my people, damage is corrected. If it cannot be corrected, it is not carried forward. We do not display survival like this. We do not wear pain as history. He reached for a towel, turning slightly, and I saw more. Marks layered upon marks, like the sediment of repeated catastrophes. Not one war. Not one accident. Many. This was not a man who had nearly died once. This was a man who had refused death repeatedly. And I realized, with an uncomfortable tightening in my chest, that I had never before stood so close to something the universe had tried so hard to erase, and failed. He saw it. Of course he saw it. Humans are observant predators by evolution, my tutors used to say. They track micro-expressions, shifts in posture, dilation of pupils. Survival taught them to read danger before danger strikes. So when I stepped back, when my fingers tightened slightly at my sides, when my breath hitched in a way I could not fully suppress, Captain Ryan Hale noticed. "Does my appearance present a problem, Your Highness?" His voice was even. No accusation. No embarrassment. No anger. That somehow made it worse. I forced my spine straight, lifting my chin the way I had been trained since infancy. A princess of the Lythari Dominion does not recoil. A princess does not display discomfort. A princess observes, evaluates, and responds. But I had recoiled. I was not prepared, I said carefully. He studied me in the reflection of the surgical glass. He did not rush to cover himself. He did not flinch. He did not attempt to hide what I had seen. He simply stood there, scarred, solid, unashamed. "That happens often," he replied. "With first exposure." First exposure. As though he were a radiation event. He wrapped the towel around his waist with precise, economical movements. Even that small act revealed discipline, controlled, efficient, measured. No wasted motion. No self-consciousness. "You requested a human bodyguard," he continued. "The Dominion filed the petition personally. I was assigned based on prior summit experience and close-quarters threat response." "I am aware of the diplomatic procedure," I said, perhaps too sharply. His eyes shifted to mine fully now. Dark, steady, impossible to read. "If my presence causes distress," he went on, "I can submit a reassignment request before departure. Helios Prime Security has alternates." There it was. The offer of escape. Not for him. For me. My heart did something strange then. A tightening that felt dangerously close to shame. He had assumed I would not want him. That I would prefer someone less damaged. The truth? A moment earlier, I might have. I had imagined a human protector as broad-shouldered, symmetrical, intimidating in a conventional way. Not this living archive of violence. But if I accepted reassignment now, the report would travel. My father would hear. The High Council would whisper. Princess Aralyn recoiled at her protector. Princess Aralyn could not endure the sight of a scarred human. Weak, sheltered, unfit for leadership. "No," I said. The word came faster than I expected. He paused only slightly. "No, you were assigned," I clarified. "The assignment stands." His gaze did not soften. It sharpened. "Understood." He turned toward the storage unit, retrieving his uniform. The fabric slid over his skin, concealing the geography of scars inch by inch. With each layer, he became more familiar, more contained, more manageable. And yet, I now knew what lay beneath. The knowledge changed everything. "You have 3 hours before shuttle departure," he said while fastening the clasps at his wrists. "Transit through the Arinder corridor is 11 days. Close quarters. Limited privacy." "I am accustomed to diplomatic travel," I replied. He looked at me again, not dismissive, assessing. "As you wish, princess." He finished dressing, and for a moment, fully uniformed, he appeared almost like the version of him I had expected. Tall, structured, composed. The scars disappeared beneath reinforced black fabric and insignia, but I could not unsee them. I could not unknow them. As he moved toward the exit of the infirmary, I felt an impulse rise unexpectedly. "Captain." He stopped. "Yes, Your Highness?" I hesitated, just long enough to hate myself for it. "You do not resent the assignment?" His expression shifted slightly, not into warmth, not into coldness, something more complex. "I was assigned to keep you alive," he said. Resentment would interfere with that objective. That was not precisely my question. A flicker, almost amusement, crossed his eyes. "I don't take assignments personally," he said. "And I don't take reactions personally either." Heat rose beneath my silver-toned skin. "You presume much." "I observe," he corrected. The silence that followed stretched. I wanted to ask about the scars. I wanted to demand an explanation for how someone could survive so much structural damage and still stand upright. Instead, I said nothing. Because the truth was uncomfortable. The scars had unsettled me. But not because they were grotesque. Because they represented something I did not understand. Among my people, perfection is preservation. We refine ourselves generation by generation. Genetic correction. Cellular regeneration. Cultural erasure of weakness. We do not display survival. We do not celebrate it. If a body cannot be restored to symmetry, the life is ended with ceremony and dignity. There is no in-between, no carrying forward of damage. Yet he carried it openly. And worse, he carried it without apology. "You should rest before departure," he said finally. "Travel through the corridor can be turbulent. I do not require instruction." "No," he agreed calmly. "You require protection." The statement should have irritated me. Instead, it landed with unexpected weight. Because for the first time, I realized something else. He had offered reassignment not out of insecurity, but consideration. He had assumed my comfort mattered, that my reaction mattered, and that, somehow, unsettled me more than the scars ever could. As he walked past me toward the corridor, I caught the faint scent of sterilization fluid and something else, metallic, subtle, human. I remained in the infirmary long after he left. The white lights hummed overhead. The medical monitors pulsed quietly in standby mode. I raised my hand slowly, pressing my palm against the cold surface of the surgical glass where his reflection had stood moments earlier. I had spent 2 centuries surrounded by curated perfection. Crystal towers, polished diplomacy, unmarked skin. I thought I understood strength. But the image of him, standing unarmored, scarred, steady, refused to fade. And I realized something with growing unease. I had not stepped back because he looked monstrous. I had stepped back because he looked unbreakable. And I did not yet know what that meant for someone like me. If you've watched this far, then this story is really interesting to you. Please confirm it by clicking like under this video. It doesn't cost you anything, but it will help me understand what story to publish for you next. Write in the comments who the alien woman in this story looks like, and who you would like to see in the next one. Let's move on. The Arinder corridor is not a place one crosses casually. Even in stabilized warp, the region hums with gravitational distortion, old collapsed stars, dark matter fractures, remnants of failed jump gates from wars my people pretend never touched us. The shuttle vibrated constantly, a low mechanical tremor beneath the floor plating that made sleep shallow and thought sharp. We departed Orion Gate precisely on schedule. 11 days to Helios Prime. 11 days in a vessel barely large enough to separate a princess from the man she had nearly rejected on sight. Captain Ryan Hale maintained professional distance from the beginning. He occupied the forward compartment, converted into a security operations space. I remained in the aft chamber, reserved for diplomatic personnel. Transparent partitions separated sections of the shuttle, privacy without true isolation. I could always see him, and I was always aware that he could see me. He spoke when necessary, gave travel updates, confirmed system scans, reviewed threat projections. Otherwise, silence stretched between us like a neutral treaty neither of us wished to violate first. It was on the 3rd day that I broke it. He was seated at the small central table, a portable console disassembled in front of him. He worked without hesitation, long fingers moving with mechanical familiarity across circuitry. The sleeves of his uniform were rolled slightly above his wrists. That was when I noticed them. Thin white lines crossing his forearms. Older scars. Faded. Numerous. Captain. Yes, Your Highness. What happened to your arms? He did not look up immediately. Training. That seems excessive for training. Depends on the environment. He reattached a panel and powered the console. It hummed to life. You may speak freely, I said. This journey is lengthy. A pause. Then he set the console aside and leaned back slightly. You want to know about the scars? It was not a question. I resisted the instinct to deny it. Yes. He studied me carefully, weighing something unseen. Which one? I hesitated. There were so many. But one had lodged itself into my memory with cruel precision. The one across your ribs, I said quietly. The deep one. His jaw tightened almost imperceptibly. Titan reach, he replied. Reactor breach during evacuation. That explains the burn pattern, I said before thinking. He noticed that. You were observing closely. I am trained to observe. A corner of his mouth shifted, not quite a smile. Reactor containment failed during a mining collapse. Civilians trapped in Sector C. We were first response. You were military, not rescue personnel. We were closest. He said it as if proximity were reason enough. The shielding failed before we reached the final chamber. I covered 3 evacuees when the core vented. I tried to visualize it. Radiation surge. Plasma release. Structural rupture. You survived direct exposure? For a few seconds. Seconds. Seconds that carved through muscle and skin. That scar nearly bisected you. I said. Yes. You returned to active duty? Yes. The simplicity of his answers unsettled me. You speak of it without emphasis. It happened. That is not the same as surviving it. He held my gaze now. I survived it. Silence pressed against the shuttle walls. And the others? I asked carefully. 2 made it. 2. Yes. The number hung between us like debris. And the third? He did not answer immediately. The third died in transit. Something shifted inside me then. Not disgust. Not yet understanding. Something heavier. And the scar on your shoulder? I asked. Ship fire. Boarding action on a transport vessel during first contact negotiations. Negotiations? I repeated. Humans attempted diplomatic exchange. They attempted an ambush. I felt heat rise along my spine. You were part of a first contact team? Yes. You were attacked? Yes. And you returned to duty afterward? Yes. Why? This time he did not answer immediately. Instead, he looked past me toward the viewport where distorted stars streaked by in warped lines. Because someone has to go back, he said. The words were quiet. Not defensive. Not dramatic. Factual. I folded my hands together to still their movement. Among my people, I began slowly. If an injury compromises aesthetic or structural integrity beyond restoration, the life is concluded with honor. I know, he said. You know? I read the cultural brief. I felt exposed. You consider us weak for that. I consider you fortunate. The response struck harder than any accusation. Fortunate. I echoed. You have the option to choose completion over endurance, he said. Humans rarely do. You could choose retirement. Yes. And yet you do not. No. Why? He met my eyes again. Because unfinished work bothers me. I almost laughed. You carry scars across your entire body and describe war as unfinished work. That's accurate. I stood abruptly, crossing to the viewport. The stars blurred beyond reinforced glass. My people believe visible damage burdens others, I said. It forces them to witness pain. Does it burden you? He asked. The answer formed instantly. Yes. But that was not the truth. What burdened me was not the sight of the scars. It was the implication. He had endured things my species would erase. He carried them openly. And he continued. Why go back into the collapsing station? I asked suddenly. He blinked once. What? You mentioned retrieving a fallen teammate. That was a different incident. Tell me. He leaned forward slightly. Docking ring sabotage. Structural collapse. Extraction window was closing. You could have evacuated. Yes. But you returned. Yes. Why? His expression hardened, not in anger, but in memory. Because he wasn't dead yet. The simplicity of it unsettled me. And if you had died, then someone else would have gone back. You assume that. I know that. I turned to face him fully. You risk yourself repeatedly. Yes. And each time you add another scar. Yes. And you do not resent them? He looked down at his hands. No. Why not? He considered before answering. They're proof. Of what? That I didn't stop. The words settled into me slowly. That I didn't stop. Among my people, survival is measured in preservation. Among his, it seemed survival was measured in persistence. The shuttle jolted slightly as we entered a denser gravity fluctuation. Lights flickered briefly. I remained standing. You realize, I said quietly, that I initially considered requesting your reassignment. Yes. The certainty in his tone startled me. You knew? I assumed. And that did not anger you? No. Why not? Because first reactions aren't final judgments. His eyes softened slightly, not in weakness, but in awareness. You're still here. I had no answer to that. I returned slowly to my seat. The largest scar across his ribs no longer appeared monstrous in my mind. It appeared deliberate. A consequence. A choice. And for the first time since Orion Gate, I felt something shift inside me. Not acceptance. Not yet. But curiosity replacing recoil. And that frightened me in an entirely new way. It was on the 5th day of transit that I said something I had never said aloud to anyone outside the Lythari Council chambers. The corridor turbulence had worsened. Artificial gravity pulsed irregularly, and faint vibrations moved through the shuttle's frame like distant thunder. Ryan had secured most of the equipment to prevent shifting during distortion waves. I watched him from across the central compartment as he tightened a restraint clamp on a cargo panel. He moved with the same efficiency he applied to everything else, deliberate, economical, unflustered. His composure irritated me, not because it was false, but because it was real. You do not conceal them, I said suddenly. He glanced up. Conceal what? Your scars. I wear a uniform. That is not what I mean. He straightened slowly. Clarify. My people would not allow such visible damage to remain, I said. Not in a soldier. Not in a leader. Not in anyone. He waited. If regenerative correction fails, I continued, forcing the words out evenly. The individual is given the option to conclude their life with dignity. We do not carry imperfection forward. The hum of the engines filled the silence that followed. Ryan leaned back against the secured panel, crossing his arms loosely. I read that, he said. High honor ritual. Controlled sedation. Ceremonial witness. Yes. And you consider that strength? Yes. Why? Because it preserves the whole, I replied immediately. The integrity of form. The harmony of appearance. We do not display brokenness. His gaze sharpened, not in challenge, but in focus. And if the brokenness isn't fatal, it is corrected. And if it cannot be corrected, it is ended. He absorbed that. And you've never questioned it? The question unsettled me. It is tradition. That's not what I asked. I rose from my seat, frustration prickling beneath my skin. It prevents prolonged suffering. Does it? Yes. For who? He asked calmly. For the individual. And for the people who don't have to see it. The precision of that cut deeper than I expected. You imply cowardice, I said coldly. I imply preference, he replied. Preference for perfection. There is nothing wrong with striving for perfection. There's something incomplete about requiring it. The shuttle shuddered again as we passed through a gravity eddy. The lights dimmed briefly before stabilizing. You believe endurance is superior, I said. I believe endurance is necessary. Necessary because your species lacks refinement. Necessary because we don't get to opt out when things become unpleasant. The word unpleasant felt almost insulting in its understatement. You speak as if choice is weakness. I speak as if choice is luxury. I stepped closer without realizing it. You think us sheltered. I think you haven't been forced to adapt the same way. And you have. Yes. The certainty in his tone was not arrogance. It was experience. You carry visible damage without shame, I said. Yes. You allow others to see it. Yes. Why? He looked down at his hands, turning one palm upward slowly. Because pretending it didn't happen doesn't undo it. That is not the same as displaying it. Displaying? He repeated quietly. You think I'm displaying something? You do not hide it. I don't advertise it either. You stand unarmored in infirmaries. He almost smiled at that. I was decontaminating. That is not the point. Then what is? I struggled to articulate it. Among my people, perfection is not vanity. It is structure. It is stability. It is reassurance that the system functions flawlessly. His scars represented system failure. Repeatedly. And yet he stood there as if the failures were irrelevant. You normalize damage, I said finally. He shook his head slightly. I normalize survival. The distinction struck me harder than I expected. You think survival alone justifies continuation, I said. It's a start. But at what cost? Whatever the cost was. The simplicity of it frustrated me. You diminish the psychological impact, I insisted. You speak of these injuries as if they occurred to someone else. In some ways, they did. That gave me pause. Explain. The person who got that first scar, he said quietly, touching his forearm absent-mindedly, isn't exactly the same as the person standing here. You changed. Yes. Because of trauma. Because of experience. You differentiate them. I integrate them. I studied him carefully. You integrate damage? I integrate reality. The words echoed inside me. Reality. Among the Lythari, reality is curated, controlled, refined. We eliminate variance. We eliminate flaw. We eliminate visible evidence of suffering. You are comfortable being seen as imperfect, I said. I'm comfortable being seen as real. The engines hummed steadily. Outside the viewport, space bent into elongated streaks. You assume our way is denial, I said. I assume your way avoids something. What? Fear. I felt heat rise along my neck. We do not fear. You stepped back in the infirmary. The reminder stung. I was surprised. Yes. And surprise is not fear. Isn't it? The question lingered. I had stepped back because the sight unsettled me. Because it contradicted everything I had been taught about strength. Strength was symmetry. Strength was flawless form. Strength was preservation. He was none of those things. And yet he radiated something I could not deny. Stability. I was taught that visible damage diminishes authority, I said quietly. Does it? It suggests vulnerability. It proves vulnerability. That is not desirable. It's honest. I exhaled slowly. Among my people, scars are failure. Among mine, he said, they're history. History should be recorded in archives, not flesh. Some history doesn't ask permission. The shuttle vibrated again, more sharply this time. He moved instinctively toward the console to check stability readouts. Even in debate, he remained focused on protection. You genuinely believe endurance is superior to preservation, I said. I believe endurance is what you do when preservation isn't possible. And if it were possible, then maybe we'd be different. The humility in that answer unsettled me more than pride would have. You do not romanticize it, I observed. No, you simply accept it. Yes. The simplicity of human resilience was beginning to fracture something inside me. I had always believed refinement equaled evolution, that eliminating flaw meant advancement. But what if eliminating flaw also eliminated something else? What happens when the damage changes you too much? I asked quietly. It already has. And you are not afraid of what you become. He looked at me then, directly, steadily. I'm more afraid of what I'd become if I stopped. The words settled into me like gravity. Stopped. Stopped enduring. Stopped returning. Stopped protecting. Among my people, when damage exceeds correction, we stop. We choose to stop. We call it dignified. He would call it something else. You unsettle me. I admitted before I could stop myself. I'm aware. That was not intended as insult. I didn't take it as one. I folded my hands behind my back, forcing composure. You challenge foundational principles of my culture. You asked. Yes. A quiet moment passed between us. I do not know how to reconcile this, I said. You don't have to. Eventually, I will. Maybe. The engine steadied. The turbulence lessened. I looked at him differently then. Not as a damaged specimen. Not as an unsettling anomaly. But as a contradiction. A man shaped by forces my people avoid entirely. And still standing. I had believed scars were evidence of failure. He wore them as evidence of continuation. The idea disturbed me. Not because it was grotesque, but because it suggested something far more dangerous. That perhaps my people had mistaken preservation for strength, and endurance for weakness. And that unsettled me far more than his scars ever had. Helios Prime was supposed to represent stability, a neutral trade hub orbiting a golden-class star, layered in diplomatic glass towers, and controlled airspace. Its architecture was symmetrical, luminous, intentionally reassuring. Every corridor polished, every security checkpoint immaculate. It reminded me of home. Perhaps that was why I felt so certain we were safe. The summit chamber overlooked the planet's surface, a rolling sea of copper clouds beneath an amber sky. Delegations from 5 systems were present. My father had positioned me carefully, visible enough to symbolize unity, guarded enough to discourage aggression. Ryan stood 3 steps behind me and slightly to the left. Not touching, not looming, simply present. He had been quiet since arrival, quieter than usual, not withdrawn, focused. I was speaking with the Torvani envoy when it happened. The first sign was not a sound. It was Ryan's hand. It moved. Fast. 1 second he was still. The next he had gripped my upper arm and pulled me sideways with enough force to destabilize my balance. A flash of blue-white plasma cut through the space where my torso had been. The sound came half a second later. Screams. Weapons activating. Security alarms cascading in layered tones. The attacker emerged from the right flank, Royal Guard uniform, Lythari insignia gleaming against ceremonial silver armor. One of ours. For a fraction of a second, I could not comprehend it. Then Ryan stepped between us. The second strike came lower, angled upward. He blocked it with his body. The plasma blade pierced his side just below the rib line, the same region that carried the Titan Reach scar. The smell of burned fabric and flesh hit instantly. He did not fall. He did not cry out. He pivoted. His hand locked around the attacker's wrist with brutal precision. A twist. A displacement. The blade clattered across the marble floor. Security forces surged forward. The assassin struggled, eyes wild, expression fractured with something between fanaticism and terror. Ryan struck once, controlled, efficient. The attacker collapsed. Only then did he stagger. I reached him before I consciously chose to move. His uniform was torn. Beneath it, blood. Dark. Immediate. You are injured, I said unnecessarily. Yes, he replied evenly, as if commenting on weather. You were already wounded in that region, I said, staring at the spreading stain. Yes. You reopened it. Yes. Medical personnel rushed in. He resisted at first. Secure her, he ordered instead. I am secure, I snapped, anger flaring through shock. You are not. His eyes flicked to mine. Calm. Focused. Alive. Priority assessment. You, he said. I realized then that he was not speaking as a man. He was speaking as a shield. They escorted him to emergency containment. I followed without permission. Inside the medical chamber, they cut away the uniform layers. The plasma strike had grazed deep but missed vital organs by centimeters. The old scar beneath was visible again. Angrier now. Red at the edges. The Titan Reach line. He had taken the blade precisely where prior trauma had weakened tissue integrity. On purpose. You adjusted your angle, I said suddenly. The attending medic glanced at me in confusion. Ryan did not. Yes. You shifted your torso. Yes. To avoid it striking higher. Yes. I felt something fracture inside my carefully constructed understanding of strength. You chose the scar, I whispered. Yes. Why? Because it would hold. Hold. He trusted damaged tissue to protect me. The realization left me momentarily breathless. You could have died, I said. Yes. The word was steady. No dramatics. No self-pity. Just fact. Security officers entered with confirmation. The assassin was Lythari. Political radical. Opposed to human alliance. Opposed to me. Opposed to everything this summit represented. One of ours. The shame burned deeper than anything plasma could. Ryan's blood stained the sterile, white medical field. And for the first time, I did not see violence in those scars. I saw calculation. Deliberate positioning. Years of endurance shaping reflex. He had stepped forward without hesitation. Not because he lacked fear, but because fear was secondary. Why continue? I asked quietly while the medics sealed tissue with regeneration gel. After everything. After Titan Reach. After first contact ambushes. After collapsing stations. He exhaled slowly. Because someone still needs protection. You owe my people nothing. I don't do it for your people. Then for what? For the person in front of me. The simplicity of that answer unsettled me more than any philosophical argument we had shared in transit. For me, I said. Yes. I looked down at his reopened scar, at the plasma burn searing into flesh that had already endured too much. Among my people, visible damage diminishes authority. Yet in that chamber, watching him absorb violence meant for me, I felt something else entirely. Authority, not imposed, earned. He did not appear grotesque. He appeared formidable, not because he was unmarked, but because he was marked and still moved forward. The summit chamber chaos continued outside. Negotiations fractured. Delegations demanded explanations. But inside that sterile room, something far more significant shifted within me. The scars were not symbols of brutality. They were coordinates, each one mapped to a moment he had placed himself between danger and someone else, including me. You are not fragile, I said quietly. No. And yet you break. Yes. And you continue. Yes. The repetition no longer irritated me. It grounded me. The princess couldn't bear his scars until she learned what they cost him. I had recoiled at the sight of them. Now I understood. They cost him pain. They cost him blood. They cost him sleep. They cost him pieces of himself. And he paid willingly. Security clearance confirmed the threat was contained. Helios Prime stabilized. But I remained beside his medbed long after the immediate danger passed. Because something irreversible had happened. Not to him. To me. The marks I once interpreted as failure now registered as proof. Not of violence. Of sacrifice. And for the first time since Orion Gate, I did not look away. Helios Prime did not slow down simply because my protector bled for me. Diplomatic schedules resumed within hours. Official statements were issued. The assassin's affiliations were quietly investigated. Publicly, the incident was described as a contained extremist disruption. Privately, it was something else. A fracture. In my delegation. In my assumptions. In me. Ryan was transferred to a secured med bay on the upper ring of the station, isolated from press access, guarded by both human and Lythari security forces. The wound had not been fatal, but it had reopened deep scar tissue and damaged already compromised nerve lines along his left side. When I entered the room for the first time after surgery, he was awake. Of course he was. He always seemed awake before the world expected him to be. The lighting was dimmed. Medical displays hovered quietly above his bed, monitoring internal regeneration progress. The plasma strike had carved dangerously close to the Titan Reach seam. Regenerative gel coated the reopened tissue in translucent layers. His eyes shifted toward me as the door sealed behind me. You should be in session, he said. I delegated. That will irritate the Torvani. I do not care. A faint exhale left him. Not laughter, not quite relief. I approached the bedside slowly. Without armor, without uniform, he appeared more vulnerable. And yet, I knew now vulnerability was not weakness. It was exposure. And exposure did not negate strength. You adjusted your body to take the blade, I said. Yes. You trusted the old scar. Yes. You calculated the angle. Yes. Why? He studied me for several seconds before answering. Because it was the highest survival probability. For you. For you. The answer landed like impact. You were already compromised. I was functional. That is not the same. It was sufficient. I folded my hands tightly together. You speak of sufficiency as if it is admirable. It is necessary. Silence stretched. The hum of life support filled the space between us. I stepped closer to the bed, close enough to see the fine lines of scar tissue that even regeneration could not fully erase. Ryan, I said quietly. It was the first time I had spoken his name without title. His gaze sharpened slightly. Yes. What did they cost you? He blinked once. The scars. He did not respond immediately. The question was different now. Not academic. Not curious. Personal. You've heard the stories, he said. No. I told you where they came from. That is not what I am asking. His eyes held mine steadily. What do you think you're asking? I want to know what they took. The medbay lights reflected faintly in his pupils. For a long moment, I thought he would deflect. Instead, he exhaled slowly. Titan Reach cost me 3 team members, he said quietly. 2 survived initial exposure. 1 died before we reached orbit. You mentioned that. I didn't mention that he was 19. The detail struck with unexpected force. 19, I repeated. Yes. You were. 27. You blamed yourself. Yes. You still do. Yes. The simplicity of the admission unsettled me. And the first contact ambush. I asked, 3 civilian diplomats dead, 1 Marine paralyzed. You were not responsible for their decision to attack. I was responsible for entering the chamber first. You protected them. I failed to anticipate escalation. That is not the same as failure. It feels the same. The words settled heavily between us. And the collapsing station? I continued. He looked away briefly. That one cost me sleep. Sleep? For years. His voice remained level, but something beneath it shifted. I still wake up hearing structural alarms, he added. Metal tearing. People shouting. You relive it. Yes. And yet you return to duty. Yes. Why? Because the alternative was staying home and knowing someone else would stand where I stood. And that would trouble you. Yes. You accept pain as inevitability. I accept consequence. I moved closer without fully realizing it. His right hand rested beside him on the bed. Scarred knuckles. Old fractures healed imperfectly. You lost people, I said softly. Yes. You lost certainty. Yes. You lost sleep. Yes. You lost parts of your body. Yes. And you returned anyway. Yes. The repetition did not irritate me anymore. It anchored the truth. The princess couldn't bear his scars until she learned what they cost him. They cost him comrades. They cost him youth. They cost him peace. They cost him fragments of safety that would never return. They did not cost you your will, I said quietly. No. Why not? He looked at me with something I had not seen before. Vulnerability. Because if I let them take that too, he said, then the people who died paid for nothing. The words hit harder than any argument in the shuttle ever had. You continue for them, I whispered. For them. For whoever's next. For me. Yes. I swallowed carefully. My people believe visible damage burdens others, I said. That it forces them to witness suffering. It does. And that is unacceptable. Is it? I shook my head slowly. No. The admission felt like stepping across a border I had never intended to cross. I thought your scars represented brutality, I said. Failure of structure. Failure of system. They represent impact, he corrected gently. And endurance. Yes. And sacrifice. Yes. And choice. Yes. I hesitated before speaking the next words. I was disgusted. He did not flinch. I know. I recoiled. Yes. I considered replacing you. Yes. And you did not resent me. No. Why? Because first reactions aren't final. The same words from the shuttle. But now they carried different weight. I am ashamed of that reaction, I said quietly. You don't need to be. I judged you by appearance. You adjusted. Yes. He studied me carefully. You're adjusting now. Yes. Why? I stepped closer still. Because I finally understand that what I saw as disfigurement was devotion. Silence. You bled for me. I continued. You repositioned an old wound to protect me. Yes. You trusted scar tissue. Yes. You trusted damage. Yes. I exhaled slowly, and I was afraid of it. He did not speak. I thought strength meant flawlessness, I admitted. But flawlessness has never stood between me and a blade. No response. Just quiet understanding. I needed to know what they cost you, I said softly. And now I see the price. He held my gaze for a long moment. And I no longer look away. For the first time since Orion Gate, I reached out without hesitation. My fingers hovered over the bandaged seam across his ribs. May I? He did not answer with words. He simply nodded. Carefully, gently, I rested my palm above the covered scar. I felt warmth beneath my hand. Life. Persistent. Unyielding. You are not broken, I said quietly. I'm scarred. Yes. And alive. Yes. I lifted my eyes to his. And that matters. He studied me carefully. You've changed, he said. Yes. Are you certain that's acceptable in your culture? No. The honesty surprised us both. But it is acceptable to me. Silence settled between us. Not heavy, not strained. Something else. Recognition. The princess couldn't bear his scars until she learned what they cost him. Now I understood. They cost him pieces of himself. But they never cost him his purpose. And somewhere in that realization, I began to question what my own people had been unwilling to carry. The summit concluded under artificial calm. Officially, the alliance remained intact. Trade corridors reopened. Security protocols were rewritten. Public statements emphasized unity and resilience. Privately, my father transmitted a recall order. Risk assessment elevated. Political instability cited. Human security deemed insufficiently reliable. I stood in the observation gallery overlooking Helios Prime's orbit when the message arrived. Ryan stood behind me, fully dressed again, wound stabilized but not fully healed. "They want you home," he said quietly. "Yes. You should go." "I will not." The words surprised neither of us. He stepped closer, not touching, but near enough that I felt the warmth of him. "Defying a Dominion recall carries consequences," he said. "I am aware. You could assign another protector." "I will not." Silence. Ships moved like drifting embers beyond the glass. "I once thought your scars diminished you," I said quietly. "I believed visible damage weakened authority. And now I understand that survival is not weakness." He did not respond. "I understand that perfection is not strength," I continued. "Endurance is." My father would disapprove. The council would debate. Scandal would follow. A Lythari princess choosing a scarred human soldier as permanent protector. But the decision no longer felt impulsive. It felt deliberate. "You were assigned to protect me," I said softly. "Yes." "You did." "Yes." "You also protected me from ignorance." He studied me carefully. That wasn't in the mission parameters. It should have been. A faint breath escaped him, almost laughter. I turned toward him fully. Without hesitation, without recoil, I reached up and traced the faint line through his eyebrow. The smallest scar, the first I had truly noticed. He did not pull away. "You once asked if your appearance was a problem," I said. "Yes." "It is not." He searched my face for doubt. "There will be opposition," he said quietly. "Yes." "There will be consequences." "Yes." "You understand what you are choosing." "Yes." I rested my hand flat against his chest, over the Titan reach seam, beneath uniform fabric. "I am choosing to stand beside someone who refuses to stop." His heartbeat was steady beneath my palm. The scars remained. They would always remain. But so would he. And this time, when I looked at him, I did not see ruin. I saw resilience. And I chose it. Thank you for listening to this story to the end. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Write in the comments what moment in this story impressed you the most. And also check out the other videos that just appeared on your screen. See you in the next video.